Welcome in to Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside Jerel Hendricks. Got a great interview on today. Very special guest, a new head coach of the Barnwell Warhorses, Brian Smith. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm great, man. Glad to be here.
Well, we appreciate your time. We really do. If this is you guys' first time tuning in, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Chains. Our website, movinchains.com. That's movinchains.com. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Coach Smith was hired in March. He's been the head coach at Ridge Spring Minetta for the past 4 seasons. Prior to that, he coached at Strom Thurmond, Greer, Landrum, Riverside, Seneca, Eastside, Southside, and North Greenville University. Coach, let's just start here. How's that transition been getting over from Ridge Spring Minetta over to Barnwell now?
Man, it's tough right now. I'm still trying to do 2 jobs, and that makes it a lot harder. But I've done it before. It's great. In Georgia, everybody just takes off. You take a new job and you go. And you get in a new place, and you're in there with kids working around hiring coaches. I've had to go back and forth to hire some coaches, miss some school, do some things like that. But we made it done. We had a great spring, just finished it up 2 nights ago. And our kids have really worked hard. So now they know a little more about me. I know them. I can see them. The hard part, I think, not being there daily in the building has been you get to know who a kid is, and he takes his helmet off, and they all look different then. It's easy to learn the kid's name when he's got a jersey on or he's got a helmet on, and he runs this way. You figure out he gets his stance this way, and by positions it makes it a little easier. But now then they start taking their helmets off and talking to you. You're like, wait a second, do I know that guy? Oh yeah, you're so and so. So it's been great, man. Our administration has given us a lot of support, and that's one of the things that I loved early on about Barnwell and their commitment to me and to football. And just trying to keep that program the way it's been.
So Kevin ran through a little bit of your resume, but if you don't mind for the listeners, just give us some background information on your coaching career and how you got started.
Yeah, I got started coaching. I probably knew I wanted to be a coach when I was like in middle school. I played at Midland Valley for Reed Sharpie and Dwight Smith my senior year, and Coach Sharpie kind of took me under him and was really good to me. And I went to Clemson, and I was an accounting major. I was going to, sit in an office and do math all day long and make a ton of money, and just decided that wasn't what the Lord had intended to me, and made a little statement that my job is I wanted to be out on grass and influence kids. So that's kind of my mission statement, I guess, is that I'm going to influence and have an impact on kids on grass and provide a positive moral example that I can provide. So I got very fortunate. I hit a home run. I tell young coaches this all the time. You better make sure your first job's a good job. And I'm not saying a position. I'm not saying a coordinator. I'm not saying that it's got to be the best coaching job, but you got to work for the right guy. And I hit a home run. A guy I didn't know hired me to coach offensive line at Greer High School in Stuart Holcomb. And he just won the state championship in 1989 at Greer. They'd been the first team to ever go 15-0. And he's been a constant throughout my career working for me or working for him. He actually worked for me for a little bit too later on in his career. But I started out at Greer. We won a state championship with me as a coordinator in 94. We stopped huddling in 93 before anybody else was doing it. I mean, it was us, the Bills, and the Bengals. We were going no huddle back then. And so we hadn't been in a huddle since 1993. But I worked at Greer for a couple of years, won a state championship, and then got a chance to take over a program. I was 25, and I can't imagine being a head coach at 25 anymore. But I was the youngest head coach in the state of South Carolina. I went to Strom Thurmond. We played for a state championship. And I guess now my goal is to be the oldest head coach in the state of South Carolina because I'm getting closer to that at 53. But I worked 5 years at Strom Thurmond, went to Riverside for a few years in Greenville, went back to Greenville, which has kind of been home to us for basically our adult lives. And Coach Holcomb helped me get the North Greenville job, and he came and worked for me there at North Greenville College for 2 years. They were 0-21 when we get there, and we proceeded to put 5 more losses on that list for them. But then we finished out four out of the next 5, and then we went 6-4 the next year and qualified for a National Christian College Bowl game the following year. And it was just a phenomenal opportunity to coach college football. It taught me a lot of things. One of the things it taught me was that I'd always said I wanted to coach college football, but what I learned was that really wasn't it. I wanted to coach at Clemson. I wanted to coach at Georgia Tech. I wanted to coach at Middle Tennessee State. I wanted to be at those places. And I'd go visit somebody like Phil Strickland down at Batesburg, Leesville or somewhere, and I'd walk out of his office and think, man, that guy's got the best job around, and kind of knew my pull was going to be back to high school. Had 3 kids, wasn't making a lot of money on the college level, had a chance to go to Seneca for a while. And was the head coach there. And then just things that I ended up firing myself there and just resigned because I felt like that was a place that was really good, but it really wasn't the right fit for me. I wasn't really the right fit for them. And took a couple jobs in Georgia as a head coach and worked hard, but never really left our roots. And then came back as an OC at some places in Greenville. Really wanted to become a head coach again. That's what we did with Ridge Spring. My son is he just finished his freshman year at Middle Tennessee, and he wants to coach. He's a student assistant with the program there, and I wanted to be his head coach. So I took the job at Ridge Spring, and it's a phenomenal experience. I tell you all the time. I used to say things in church to people about, you never know what's going to happen. The Lord might move you to Ridge Spring one day, and if the Lord wants you to go, you got to go. And then he did. And I didn't really expect that. It just kind of fell in my lap. But then we got to experience it. I got to coach my son for 3 years. He started for us at receiver. Got to coach my son in a bunch of big ball games, including the state championship game. And I couldn't ask for a lot more. And I thought I was going to end my career there. And then when this thing opened up, just talking to my good buddy, Coach Youngblood, our AD, it really opened up a great opportunity for me, and I'm very excited about it.
Coach, you mentioned kind of going back and forth, working 2 jobs right now and trying to get a staff in place. How is that going? Is the staff fully ready now? You got a couple more spots. You got to hire some guys.
Yeah, I think we're pretty good right now. We kept, I think, 6 guys off Coach Garrick's staff. Dwayne and I have been friends for a long time, and I knew Dwayne before he was a head coach, before I was a head coach. So, it made that transition a little easier. We've Coach Youngblood staying with us. We hired Isaac Cooper from Lawrence. He's going to be our defensive coordinator. We've hired a couple other guys that are coming on board, trying to get on board. Maybe hadn't signed a contract just yet, but have kind of been around and are about to be on board with us. But we're fully set right now. I don't have to worry about that. Now we're in a mode where, as I told our coaches the other day, all of our coaches are set with the new guys and the old guys. And then right now we can play football. We can run. We got 4 offensive run schemes in. We got our pass schemes in. We got protections in. Defensively, we can go from whatever we want to move. We can move around some. We're going to be a 3-4 team. We can move around and then kicking games. So we're ready to play football. And now it's just a matter of fine-tuning that over the summer.
If you don't mind, Coach, you talked about your defensive schemes there. You're getting that stuff in place. What do you guys, you said you're going to run that base on defense. What are you going to do on offense, and will you continue to call plays? You said you've been an offensive coordinator previously.
Yeah, I started calling plays in 1993, which, doesn't seem that long ago to me, but to most people, that's a long time ago, and been doing it ever since. So I really love calling plays. It's kind of the fun thing. You guys know I'm sitting here in Raleigh in a hotel room. My daughter's had surgery up here, and on the little board in there, they write the nurse's name on. I've been drawing football plays on it today.
I love it.
Left a couple ones up for her, so my daughter to look at, and so that's what I enjoy doing. I enjoy being the OC. I think I'd probably go crazy if I was the head coach, just sat around, didn't do anything. Right now, I'm coaching offensive line. We're bringing in a guy to come help me with that, who's a Barnwell grad coming from Travelers Rest. And got Aaron Padillo. We're going to bring him in with us to help me with that. And, I love calling plays offensively. We're going to be a spread team. We're going to be multiple. I mean, I'm going to put pressure. We're going to try to run plays as fast as we can do it and win a game. I tell people going to Ridge Spring taught me a lot of things. And one of the things it taught me, I call it the evolution of Coach Smith. And that when I went to Ridge Spring, I learned quickly that going fast did not help our football team, because we could go fast. We could go boom, 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 and get down the field. And those things, 8 or 9, those 11 had to turn around and play defense, and we were just killing ourselves. And so I had to slow us down. And we're going to be able to go up, be a little more multiple, and go a little faster because of the number of players we have. This spring, we did everything from no backs to 2 tights, 2 backs. I mean, we've done it all. We're going to be a spread team, try to throw formations at you. I like to see early in the ball game how you're going to line up. I'm going to try to put a formation put a strength into the boundary, see how you line up with that, see what you're going to give me. And like I told our kids the other day, every advantage the defense gains, it might be a disadvantage for us, but it creates another advantage somewhere else. And to me, that's what we're going to do. We're going to try to dictate those things, find those things, just, make use of them. I don't care if we run the ball or throw the ball. Hadn't thrown the ball a lot at Barnwell. Haven't had to with Tyler Smith down there. I mean, he was phenomenal. And wish we had him back another year because he was awesome. But we're going to probably be a little more balanced than they've been. And but just again, take advantage of what they give us. If it's a run night, it's going to be a run night. If it's a pass night, it's going to be a pass night.
Coach, that's always a big thing. If you don't mind me asking, what are your numbers looking like for next season with the Barnwell Warhorses?
Yeah, numbers have been great. We have about 36 right now. I think 36 or so on the varsity, and we've had our JV numbers are going to be about the same. So I feel really good about that. You know, we've only got in that group. There's only 4 seniors on the football team, so we're really young, and that's bad. That's good. You know, it's bad because we're looking at 4 seniors right now. And I think I'm looking at our depth chart here. I think one of them starts offensively, 2 of them start offensively, maybe. So we've got a ton of kids coming back in 2024. But we can't give up on 2023 yet. So we got to make sure that we come back and do everything right this year. But our numbers have been great. You know, our energy's great and all that.
Coach, you've been a lot of places and around a lot of great coaches as well. Are there any guys that you think have really been big influences on you? And is there anybody now that maybe at the college or pro game that you like to watch on a weekend basis to kind of pick up some points from?
Yeah, you know, I've been very fortunate. Like I said, Coach Holcomb, I think you know, Coach Holcomb, first of all, gave me a job when I probably didn't deserve to be a varsity OL coach. I mean, I played for Larry Vanderhayden and played for Coach Ford and Coach Hatfield at Clemson, practiced for him more than I played. And Coach Vanderhayden was the OL guy, and he got me the job. I mean, he got me the OL job at Greer. And then Coach Holcomb told me I got offered a head coaching job because I knew somebody who knew somebody early on in my career. And he said, you know, that's not a job for you. Don't take it. He goes, you got to learn football before you can go coach somewhere else. He goes, you need to stay here. And I did. I wasn't even a coordinator. I trusted him and stayed and kind of hit the jackpot that way. But, again, just looking out throughout my career, I really feel like that working for him was a big bonus. And again, talking about young coaches and trying to mentor some young coaches, you better work for the guy that's going to do it right, because I learned how to do it right. And there's other times I've seen things and they're not right. They're wrong. And, you know, we did it right. We worked hard. I told this story the other day, and the coach couldn't believe I did this. I would get up on Saturday mornings after ball games. I'd go to Coach Holcomb's house at 6 a.m. He would leave the VHS tape that he dubbed that night in his mailbox. I'd go to the school on Saturday morning at 6. He would come over and to the school. Players would come in. I'd already get my grades done. The players would come in. We'd watch film, have a walkthrough. I would drive to Clemson. My wife was my girlfriend then. She would be in the stadium at Clemson with her ticket. I'd go find her and sit down by her. The game may have started, but we had to work. And then I'd come back, and then on Sunday we'd do it all over again Sunday afternoon and have to work till, you know, whenever we got the work done. But Coach Holcomb was huge for me. I think playing for Coach Sharpie was big. I got to, you know, one of the things I look at, and I didn't like it at the time, Coach Sharpie left us to go to start Marlboro County's program. And I guess that was about late June or maybe early July of my senior year. And I didn't like it. I was mad. I had to go through a coaching change. And in college, Coach Ford left, and they brought in Coach Hatfield. And both were great to me, but got to see a coaching change on that end, how not to handle some things. That's probably, Lord knows, I've changed a bunch of jobs. So I've had to come in and have people work with me a little bit. And then when you start looking at who you like to watch, you know, I talked to my son at Middle Tennessee. I love watching them. I've loved watching what Clemson's been doing the last few years. I'm a spread guy, whether it's if it was Mike Leach stuff or Kendall Brow stuff, or, you know, look at what Hugh Freeze has done, and then Kiffin. I mean, I've taken bits and pieces. I think the biggest thing has been the run game for us. Brad Glenn, who's the OC at Cincinnati, worked for me at North Greenville at Seneca. And he's a Clemson grad, a South Carolina kid, went to Seneca. And, you know, we're the same age basically. And we're good friends. And we just kind of fell in this spread run game and loved it. And so he and I still bounce ideas off each other. And that's the greatest thing, is having some people that you can go to and talk to about schemes, talk to about technique, but also you can go back and at the same time, you talk other issues. I think it's important not to stop learning. You know, I don't want to be the old guy that can't turn on the computer and doesn't know how to watch the film and doesn't know what this scheme is or whatever. I want to be the guy on the cutting edge, and I still try to do that with clinics, with videos and all that. And then just looking back across any chance you got to talk to some older coaches like Doc Davis at Spartanburg or Alan Sitterly, who was at Daniel. You know, I'm going to leave people out. I hate to do that. But some of those guys who, Phil Strickland, who I talked about earlier, whenever you got a chance to sit down and just talk to them and ask a couple questions, man, that was like gold to me. And those guys have so much wisdom. And I'm still learning from them, and I hope that all of us take advantage of that from week to week.
Coach, you're wrapping up spring ball. How did it go, and what did you learn about this team?
Well, I learned we're young. I learned that it's not a lot of returners, but I learned we're a feisty bunch. I learned we're a group that's going to get after it a little bit. I learned we're a group that wants to improve, want to get better, want to lift weights. I feel good about what we've got going. I mean, we're on the right path with things. I feel like our kids believe in what we're trying to coach. I mean, we told them first day, we talk about the word tall, toughness, accountability, love, and legacy. And our kids have bought into that with me. Toughness, man, I gotta be able to do it. I can handle whatever you throw at me, good and bad. Like I said, my daughter's here. She's got Crohn's. She's got to handle it. You know, she got to be tough. Accountable, I'm responsible for my own actions. If I go out and make a dumb decision tonight, it's my fault. I did it. I got to man up and be responsible for it and make an adjustment. Love, we're going to love each other. We talk about that. But then legacy, you know, we all leave a legacy. You think about whatever job you're in, whatever company you're in, your legacy when you leave that company is set. Whether you thought about it or not, somebody's going to look back at you and talk about that. And, you know, I told our kids, I said, we're here to win football games, but we're also here. We want to create Fortune 500 people. We want Fortune 500 people to come out of our program. Top-notch, best of the best, come out. We're not saying winning games in that regard. We want to win games, no doubt. But we want you to be a Fortune 500 person and come out and just do that for us. And so I feel like our team's resilient. I think they're eager to learn. They're eager to, you know, we got a couple of days of lightning down a couple of days and then trying to get the kids in the weight room some. And a couple of them, they just can't get enough of it. I'm like, guys, I told you we're going to be here till 5:30 or whatever. Get out of here. We'll see you tomorrow. They want to stay and do more. And so as we move into the summer, that's a big plus for us because I believe our guys are going to work.
The Warhorses graduated some big-time players. You mentioned a guy like Tyler Smith. You know, guys like Clay Pender as well moved on. Who are some special guys coming back that we should really be on the lookout for in this 23 season?
Well, it all starts with our quarterback. You know, Cameron Austin. He didn't throw it a lot. He was 50 of 88 for like 900 yards. But when Tyler's running for 3,000 yards, I think Tyler had like 46 touchdowns, something ungodly number. I mean, I told him that I was picking on Cameron for only throwing like 88 passes, but I said, honestly, I wouldn't let you throw it either. I'd hand the ball to Tyler every time because, I mean, that just makes perfectly good sense with him. But Cameron's going to have to be the guy that runs the show. And I put a lot on him. He's a tough guy playing baseball. He's got a bunch of baseball to play this summer, and we've talked about it, but he's still got to do his football work with us. And he's a great football and baseball player. He's going to get an opportunity to shine and be the guy. And then Jordan Peoples, who's one of our running backs, a senior, one of our few seniors we have, he's the guy we're really going to count on to try to replace. You can't replace Tyler, and we're not putting that pressure on him, but we need quality runs. And we need tough runs, hard runs between the tackle, and great decisions. And you know, I try to tell the kids, you don't have to run 80 yards on this play. Just get what you can get and let's go play again. And then another senior we're really looking forward to is Slayton Ragsdale, who's our right tackle on OL. You know, he's a kid that's kind of been in that slot. He's the only senior OL, he's the only returning OL starter. And though I feel great about our offensive line, he's got to provide some leadership. So those three guys have to provide some leadership for us. And then they're going to set the tone. I mean, we got some guys like that are going to have to grow up. Hadn't started a little bit. Tony Cherry's going to be our left tackle. He's a big kid, man. He's going to be a junior and really give us a great chance to succeed. But they got to grow up quick because they hadn't had a lot of reps. We may have some problems with that early on, but like we've said, our goal all summer is preparing for a ball game. We've limited what we're going to do, not because they can't handle it, just because I want to get better at a few schemes and get great at those things. And like I said earlier, we came out of – when I talked back to Coach Holcomb, he always wanted to install the offense in 3 to 4 days. And I didn't understand it when I was the OL coach. When I became the coordinator, I understood it. If we did it in 3 or 4 days, we could then come back and perfect it. We never had to keep adding. Hey, you got to learn a protection today. You got to learn a run scheme. So these kids, Slayton and and Tony and then Lamar Buxton, some of these guys up front for us, they've been getting rep after rep on the OL. And then we flip over to our receivers. Logan Sturkey's the lead returner at receiver with Jaquan Peebles and a couple other kids in there. And they're getting multiple reps in the passing game. And that's why we're excited about next week. You know, we're going to throw 7-on-7 on June 1 with South Aiken because it's the first day you can do it. And we're going to go get one in and just try to improve. I told our kids, I said, 7-on-7 is not football. I'm not dumb. It's not football. And I'm not going to, but what it does, we're not going out there holding up cards with a bunch of great routes that we can't protect. We're going to run our stuff on offense and defense and try to get better. And that to me is important. As a coach, a name some of you guys might know, Dennis Botch was at Abbeville for years. And when I was at Straub there, we'd go over to Greenwood when Coach Doolin and would host those 7-on-7s. And I finally asked Coach Botch, I said, Coach, you're a wishbone guy and you come to this every week. I said, what are you doing? He said, Coach, we can't simulate this in practice for our defense. He said, this is the best defensive practice we'll get all year. He goes, and our kids have bought into it. And that's the attitude we got to take, is we're going to get better with this all summer. And some of these guys are going to grow up a little bit this summer and learn and compete. And we're going to see how you compete, how you handle adversity when it's hot, how you handle when somebody's kind of wearing us out. They throw one deep on the right side and then one deep on the other side of the next play. And we get up 2 quick scores and you got to bounce back. So that's one of the biggest things our kids are, I believe have shown in practice is their resiliency. And we're going to put that to test this summer.
So, Coach, you did mention that South Aiken 7-on-7. Are you going to any other 7-on-7s and maybe some O-line camps or anything like that?
Yeah, nothing OL-wise. We're going to kind of do a lot of stuff there at our place right now. We're going to South Aiken a couple times. Now you're asking, we're going to Gilbert once, I believe. I don't have my schedule in front of me. We got a few of them in. Most of our 7-on, we're going to work at our place mainly. And part of that's because Cameron's playing a pretty high-level travel baseball schedule this summer. And it doesn't do us any good for him to come back for 1 or 2 days, and all we do is go throw 7-on-7. I'd rather us work together with our kids. And, we're going to try to do a bunch of that in June. After the dead week in July, the week of the 4th, you've only got 2 weeks and the clinic starts. So there's really not a lot going on then. And so I've just told them right now we've got about 5 scheduled. And then as we go along in the summer, see where we are, we may add 1 or 2 in there. But we're not doing any 11-on-11. 11. I'm on the board of the South Carolina Football Coaches Association. 11-on-11 has been passed. I talked to Coach Tone up at Hannah the other day, and I'm going to go watch him. I want to see that myself before we get involved with it, just to kind of get my eyes on it and do some of that. But we're going to do, we do that with ourselves. So we're going to do it with Bags all summer, just try to improve there. But we're focused on, I told our kids, we're focused on us this summer because we can't afford to waste a rep. We wasted a rep in practice. The guy didn't get the signal, didn't know what the play was, and we were throwing the ball to him, and we sprinted out toward him. He was blocking. And I told us that's a wasted rep, and we can't get back. So we're going to try to keep teaching, keep working so that those things are gone by the time fall gets here.
This Barnwell program has had some really good success the last several seasons, even playing for state a few years back there. What's it going to take to really get this program to the next level and compete for state every year and even winning a couple titles?
Well, I think it's going to take what we just talked about. I mean, it's going to take that resiliency. It's going to take that toughness, accountability, the love, and trying to leave a legacy. I told our kids already, you're going to leave a legacy. Tyler Smith left a legacy. It's a really good one. They played Barnwell lost to Saluda in front of us, losing to Green Sea in 19. And we're make no bones about it. We want to get back to Columbia. We want to play in that ball game every year. I told my son for years, I said, there's nothing better in the state of South Carolina than practicing on Thanksgiving. And I think most of us high school football agree with that. I mean, I got to do it like 4 straight years at one point in my career. And he did tell me that wasn't true because his birthday is December 3rd. He said, Dad, there's nothing better than practicing on December and your birthday, and you get ready to play a state championship game. I said, well, you got me with that one. Okay, I'll give you that. But, you practice on Thanksgiving, you've had a phenomenal year, and you got a chance. And no matter, I look back at 19 and Wagner had beaten us like 41-0 in the regular season. We beat them to go to state championship game. And we were healthy the second time around, and we outplayed their behinds. and they were a great football team and well coached, did a great job. But you just want to have that opportunity. What we've taught our kids is you can't wait to lift those weights in November and decide to get great. That started in January. It starts when the season's over. And I feel like that's one thing we've been preaching with our kids. It's one thing our coaches have been preaching is that I say this a lot. One of my favorite quotes, and I claim it as mine, is excellence doesn't take a day off. My kids hate it. I mean, my biological, my 3 children hate it because I tell it to them. Excellent. No, they do something. I said, well, excellence doesn't take a day off. And they just shake their head at me going, come on, Dad, you're trying to coach us up. But that's just how it goes. Excellence. You're going to say that you want to go to college and play a sport. You want to play football, or you want to go to college and have great grades, but you're not doing your work in class. You're taking a 0. You're putting your head down, not taking notes. You're not working out. What'd you do? It's the one that always gets me is when the kid says, hey, coach, I'm focusing on sport X over here. Well, that's great. But you can't, what did you do with it? Like I tell our kids, I want to play in the senior USAM, but my handicap is a 6 right now. It's not a 5.4, which is the minimum the maximum you can have. So I've got a year and a half to get under a 5.4 to try to qualify. And that's kind of a goal of mine. Well, what did I practice yesterday? No. So I'm not being excellent in my golf right now. And that's a joke on me a little bit, but you've got to work every day. You just can't take a day off and say, well, I'll just take a 0. I've got an 82. So the 0, I'll have a 78. That's a C. No, that's not excellence. You're not going to get the scholarship. You're not going to get the money. You're not going to have the opportunity to get into, maybe you get into a better academic school along with that scholarship. Your academics open your doors just as much as athletics do. And so I want our kids to be excellent. I want us to work hard. I want us to put everything into it. And, I've never heard a senior walk back and say, you know what, coach, I worked my tail off the last 4 years and it wasn't worth it. What I've heard over 32 years of coaching and 21 years as a head coach is, I wish I'd lifted weights harder. I wish I'd taken my grades harder in 9th grade. I wish I'd have gone out and ran those routes. The kids at Ridge Spring hate this story, but I tell it to them. When you watch Hard Knocks, the thing I love about Hard Knocks, I like seeing the interaction between the coaches and the players and cutting the guys and all that. But every year, there's J.J. Watt on the field. J.J. Watt was with the Texans. He's out there running routes and catching balls, or working on his moves, and catching balls off a jug machine in case he gets interception, with a manager out there feeding him footballs. And his job, he's a professional, yes, but his job is to get better. He's the best. So if all you do is show up and do the bare minimum and lead by example, that's all you're doing is the bare minimum. That's the expectation. That's not the standard. The bare minimum, the leading by, I tell our kids, we don't go with lead by example. Leading by example is the bare minimum. Working hard is the bare minimum. Just because you made the workout, you came to practice, you did the bare minimum. What are you doing outside of? I told the OL, especially young OL, I'm giving you some drills on how to get in a stance and teaching you about balance and steps and hand placement, hat placement, all that. And you can take all these drills and have your mom call them out to you in the backyard when you get home and coach you up, because I'm going to give you that. Well, what are you doing? Have you gone out there and done that in your backyard at a community field? Have you and your buddies gone out and thrown? To me, to set yourself apart, you've got to do that. And that's where our team is right now. We're about to find out. I think we work hard. We're very fortunate in Barnwell. We've got 2 football classes. We have a JV football class and a varsity football class. So our kids are going to get to lift year round. Our kids are getting to work out in the building during the school day year round. We're getting to practice some year round. And that benefits us. But even then, that's the expectation. That's the minimum standard. So what are you doing? What's our team doing? Great teams are going to do things outside of the coaches. I don't mean, I'm not saying you have to go and pay a trainer. There's, all these guys are training. And some of them we like. The ones you trust are great. The ones that are really good at it. And I know a bunch of them. They're great guys. They do a phenomenal job. I trust them with my own kids. I trust them with my players. But you've got to go out and get trained, whether it's with us, with somebody on the outside, or just, you guys are out throwing on your own at the Little League field. So those kind of things are how teams get better. And that's what gives you a chance to bounce back. And if we want to be in that ball game every year, that's where we got to be. And there's no other options. If you don't want to be there, if you want to win the region and go a round or two, that's your attitude. That's what it's going to get. But if you want to sell out and have the experience of a lifetime, we're going to try to provide that for you.
Those are great lessons, Coach. Moving over to the college, the landscape over on that side of the ball has really changed the last few years, especially with the introduction of the transfer portal, those free transfers, and it's had a negative effect on high school recruiting. How does your relationships with coaches and recruiters and maybe trainers, as you speak, help your guys on your team get those looks?
Yeah, I think that's one of the good things I've got is I'm pretty. I'm 53. I'm probably one of the older guys you've talked to on your podcast. Just listen to some of your podcasts because I've been a fan of you guys. So there's not many guys in their 50s you've talked to. But my boy Jamie Johnson said something about younger head coaches. I called him after I listened to your podcast and gave him a hard time about it.
I love it. Love it. Good stuff.
I've got friends who, again, I talked about Brad. Brad's at Cincinnati. He's there. You got Jerel Sims out there. You got Steps out there with him. Those guys are out there, and they're South Carolina guys. So you're going to be found in this state. I was talking to one of the coaches at Middle Tennessee the other day. He called me. He thought I was in Barnwell when I was at Rich Spring, and he was about to pull into school. And I just said, "Hey, man, I'm not there, but I'll be there at practice." He goes, "Well, I'm just going to bypass you today, and I'll catch you next week." But I've got great relationship with guys. One of the things that's really helped us, I think, is that on the Coaches Association, again, when you're an older guy, you got to do some of these things. I'm on the board, and I set up our clinic. I've taken over that as one of my roles. We talked about that some. But on the clinic, we're trying to bring coaches in here from all over who come in and speak, and everybody wants to hear them, and they talk about, so it can't all be D1 guys. So there's D3 guys speaking at our clinic, D2 guys, 1AA guys, and so I've got great relationships with those guys all over. I believe we've got a good plan on how to get our kids out there because you got to be the squeaky wheel a little bit with us. But I tell our kids, you got to use your social media. We got to get it out there. But then one of the things that I've noticed in talking to some coaches this spring as they came by is that, a lot of people right now, because of the portal, they were usually taking May and doing and coming by to see everybody. Now in May, they're positional recruiting. The quarterback guys only going to see quarterbacks in the spring. Not everybody. You used to have the guy two guys have South Carolina, one's got upper state, one's got lower state. They would just go all across the state. Well, now a lot of them are coming out because of the portal. And again, talking to my son, he knows, they need one of this and one of this. And they're looking at certain kids in the portal, and they're out recruiting for next year by position only and not really worried about blanketing the state. I'm talking middle in that situation, but a lot of schools are. And it's a little harder now. It is. And you have some kids who fall back, but at the same time, we'd love to get the portal under control. And I don't think it's kind of like putting the toothpaste back in the container. I don't think it's going to happen with us anytime soon. But the other part of it, if you look at South Carolina State, Darius Leonard's a dog. He's a great player. And he played at State. You got all these guys from State, these other smaller schools that have gone on to the NFL, and some have been all pro, some have played a couple weeks and got cut. They have opportunities. The portal is going to change that too, where guys can go and start and move up. And so I really believe that the portal does give some guys who say, you know what, I'm going to State, or I'm going to Newberry, or, I'm going to North Greenville or whatever school you go to, you have a chance to move up. The bad part of high school is there's only so much money to go around. And when you want to take a kid who's 18, who had, maybe hadn't been in that weight room, he's been in the weight room, but not like the 20-year-old who you've been watching his diet. He's proven he can do the academics. He's got the grades. He's got the body. He's got the skills. It's tough. It's tough to compete with those guys. Obviously, you want the 20-year-old, because if you develop the 18-year-old and you're a group of 5 school or 1AA, in 2 years, you're going to lose him. Excuse me. And the other thing that people forget about is the academic side of it. The number of hours these kids are losing academically. Yeah, they're working hard and doing everything, but when they transfer, most of these guys aren't going to play in the NFL. So you've got to get an opportunity where they can succeed, but also graduate. And that's got to be the goal. And the portal is kind of hurting kids with that. And you can see it. I mean, I know some stuff like this week about Stetson Bennett hadn't graduated, and that's neither here nor there. I'm not picking on him. He was a phenomenal college football player. I mean, he was great and did an amazing job and led his team. He's a Georgia legend. But him transferring a little bit, even within that system, has probably left him short some in the classroom. And not everybody has the opportunities to go back. And the flip side of it are the kids who are waiting for the offers. And if you don't sign the early signing period, if you don't commit early, in my view now, you're out there with everybody in the portal. So you're kind of setting yourself up for failure, because those college guys it's cutthroat. And I mean, I talked to them. I said, look, I got some great friends out there coaching college football. And I talk to them sometimes, say, what you looking for? We're looking for this guy right now. He's got to be this, this, and this. And, we're going to take him that way. We're not going to take guys to understand the developing the player, developing the prospect. I'm again in Raleigh when Robbie Caldwell at Clemson signed one of my linemen off that 94 Greer team, a kid named Andy Hastings. He played up here. He was like 6'7", 240 in high school. And he looked about that big around. I mean, he was skinny at 6'7". And he got up here and they put weight on him. He started for the Wolfpack and got a degree and did a great job. But those days are kind of gone now. And so you got to get it quick, or, you're going to be finding yourself somewhere to play. You're going to be in the portal whether you want to or not.
Coach, you've been everywhere from, 1A to 4A to collegiate level, all that stuff. Have you found where you've kind of had to maybe, tailor the message depending on maybe the size of the school at all? Or is it basically the message is the message no matter what for you?
I think the message is the message. I mean, football's the same for me. Some of the same plays. I just changed all my terminology this year. I just kind of felt like I try to do it every so often. And it really works good when you change a school. I called a play the other day. The kids looked at me at Barnwell. Oh, sorry, guys. That's what I used to call it. I still call plays back. Some of them back to the way we called them in Greer in the 90s. And I think, well, that's just way back there behind the Coke Zeros, in your brain. But, the message is still the same. Football is still football. It's still a blocking and tackling game. It's still a tough game. It's still an outwork your opponent game. But as I said, I talked a lot at Ridge Spring, and I called it the evolution of Coach Smith. There were, you got to get your horses to the race. We're not going to practice more than 2 hours. We couldn't bang each other. We haven't given out practice pants in about 10 years. And that doesn't mean we're soft. Now we're going to be physical. And I told them at Barnwell, they haven't given out practice pants at Barnwell. We're going to hit. We're going to have contact. But you got to be smart about what you do. Our kids have to work at Ridge Spring. We practiced during lunch on Thursdays. So last year, two years before that, we practiced at 7 a.m. And, just to get our kids a little longer break, just to get them off their feet a little bit, give them a chance. But just the message has always been the message. We haven't really changed a lot now. Like I said, some of the same pass routes we ran at Greer, we ran at North Greenville, we ran it at Seneca, and then we run it 1A, we're running at Barnwell. So that stuff hadn't changed. Everybody likes to watch watch Clemson play, or whoever you like to watch. You want to watch Ole Miss and get a play, or Middle Tennessee. This is a great play. Let's draw it up. And we put it in. Well, you know what? If you got the kids and you've got the kids that can think about it and run it where it works in your scheme and it fits in your system, you can still do all that. But to me, the biggest thing is it all goes back to what's our output. Our output, as we talked earlier, Fortune 500 people. That's what we're trying to get to. And I believe that being a great person and developing that guy, we have a little program we call Football 101 that we're going to use during practice some and during the weight classes to develop. Like, I believe that you're going to make that kid a better player. Okay. I just said great player, but you're going to make him a better player just by being a better person. And to me, that's the goal in everything we do.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
All right, Coach, we're going to give you a couple easier ones before we let you get out of here. Since you've done your research and watched a few episodes of ours, you should know this question is coming down the pipeline. Got to diversify it a little bit. I need a place to eat in Barnwell. I need a place to eat in Monetta, and I need a place to eat in Greenville.
All right, let's go. Barnwell, Sombreros. Burrito Cancun is unbelievable. Unbelievable. It looks like a hole in the wall. Burrito Cancun at Sombreros is great. It's unbelievable. Hog Heaven supports us. Hog Heaven's little barbecue place. Anthony's has been a steak, a burger, wings place, man. It's unbelievable. Monetta, Rich Spring, there's no school, there's no zones, there's no red lights in our school zone at Rich Spring, Monetta. Juniper's is one of my favorite places to go right there in downtown Rich Spring. It's got an amazing shrimp and grits if you like that kind of stuff. Now we go to Greenville, man. I got my favorites. I really love the Lost Cajun. I'm a huge Lost Cajun fan. And I go to one on Pelham just to avoid downtown. Sometimes there's one downtown.
Smart man.
Yeah. I understand.
But hey, you go downtown, go by the Greenville Drive, go by left field, and there's Mac's Speed Shop. You can't go wrong here. They got a shrimp po' boy that's amazing. Their macaroni and cheese is unbelievable. I mean, I love that place. You can never go wrong going to. I'm a Coronas fan right there on Pelham Road. And then there's a little place there between East Side and Riverside that my kids, they all know I'll go there. And it's Little Pig's Barbecue. And, man, they got one of the best burgers you're ever going to have. So you can always, I'm a clock guy. You can always do those things. But, man, I just want to go. I want to be able to get in and get out. Thursday nights at Rigsby's has music bingo right now. I did it the other night. You just sit there for 2 hours, and they're going to play a song, and you do bingo with it. And so, it doesn't take a lot to get me excited about food. I told you we talk food, golf, whatever. And, but I'll eat at any of those places. And Thursday night, music trivia at 7, go to Rigsby's too. That's a pretty good one to have a good time with your family.
Coach, great choice on Anthony's and Barnwell. That's a great spot. Been there a few times. They definitely do a good job over there at Anthony's.
Yes, sir.
About it. So you mentioned it, Coach. We talked a little bit about all fair here. How's the golf game looking these days? Has it got some nice weather finally out there?
Well, I hadn't played. I hit balls with my son last week, but I hadn't played in about 3 weeks. I was hitting it pretty good for a while, but I had to get me a new putter because I couldn't make a putt for there for a little. Hit 12 greens in regulation, shot 82. It's never a good day. And I putted awfully that day. So, but I usually hit it pretty good up until summertime. And then what I try to do is luckily the course I play a lot, it's got a little route where you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 9. So about once a week before the time changes. So once a week after practice, I can go in there nasty and play about 5 holes and just try to keep my game going or, just get in there and work on it. But again, golf's like anything else. You got to get in there and putt and chip and practice and just like watching, I'm in a hotel. I got women's golf right now on with the LPGA match play going on right here. I'm kind of watching that out of the corner of my eye some, but you got to have an opportunity to practice. You can't just walk out there. And it's like, I tell you all the time, my problem is I want to play and don't want to practice. I need to be somewhere. I've been fortunate to play some really nice golf courses the last couple of years. And some of them have unbelievable practice areas. And I don't need, but I don't need that right before. I need like a day before to be able to go there and hit wedges and hit putts and hit sand shots and chip and do all that stuff and work on that part of my game, just like every other golfer does. Because, if you keep the ball in the green grass, it's going to come down to can you get it in the hole. And that's the difference in golf to me is inside 100 yards. So that's kind of where I got to go. But I'd love to play. Just let me know, man. I'm game. I'll never turn one down.
Love it. And then last one I have for you that's fun. You've coached all around the state of South Carolina. I need the coolest environment that you can remember, or maybe a few of them that you've coached at.
It's Union, Gaffney, Union, Spartanburg's pretty cool. Dillon is tough. Camden, Strom Thurmond Camden is really, really good. But I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to go back to the one we won. And it's 2019, 2 little 1A schools in Aiken County playing for a chance to go to state championship game. About 5,000 people at Wagner Sally, and there's no lights in the towns in Wagner, Sally, Perry, Windsor, Ridge Spring, or Monetta. There's nobody in town. They're all at the ball game, and it's shoulder to shoulder lined up around the field, and those are the kind of places you want to be in. And I told my wife during that run with my son being on the team and a sophomore, I said, we've got to be parents this week. We got to be parents because you got to enjoy it a little bit. I kind of learned that a few years ago. I almost got out of coaching when I was in Seneca. I knew I wasn't going to go back. It was a place where I told Coach Glenn at one time, I said, if I was in college, I'd have just went to the AD and worked out a little settlement, resigned, and went and found another job and got a little paycheck for a little bit, maybe cut salary and be gone. Because it just wasn't working. They wasn't listening to me, and it's nothing about me, nothing bad about them. They were great kids. I loved them. It just wasn't working out for us.
Sure.
And I remember sitting there and looking up at the lights one time pregame. And I told my wife that we went to Wagner was just, you got to enjoy it. You got to sit there and look at the light. We started playing Won't Back Down, Tom Petty in the third quarter, just like Florida does, just to add some environment, add some music to the environment at Ridge Spring. And I would tell the kids, I would just sit there and listen to it. I just want to sit there and enjoy this for a second, guys. Just give me a second, okay? And I'll give you a play. I got the next play called, but let's just sit here and have fun because that part of the game is what we lose a lot. And I want to be a dad. I want to be a fan. I love going to these environments and watching ball games. But Canada's a pretty good place to go to. I kind of got off your question. Canada's a pretty nice place to go to. Old Zemp, before they did the renovations, it was pretty tough when I was at Strom Thurmond. But there's a lot of great places in this state, man.
No doubt about it. Yeah, Zemp, you gotta hope they don't ring the bell when they're done. That's a bad night for your boys if they are.
That's it. Had a kicker one night, couldn't get the ball over the wall at Zemp. In fact, he was great. He couldn't get over the wall on extra points, but he made all of them. So and that wall's right up against the fence line there, but or right up against the goalpost. He'd make all of them. It was kind of crazy, but I think our state's doing a great job. Having coached in Georgia, I see it, and they got a bunch of 6,000 student schools and all that. And, a lot of these small schools, Barnwell's a great place. We just renamed our stadium our field after Mac Weir, legendary coach there. And it's a pretty cool place to play. I was watching film this week of Barnwell Silver Bluff from 2 years ago, I guess. Silver Bluff beat them and played the state championship game. And just look at the crowd. I sit there and watch the crowd because it was a phenomenal atmosphere at the Bluff. And, just there's a lot of great places to go. But anytime you're winning and everybody can jump on that bandwagon, Angelo Dundee said, look at who's in your locker room after you lose, not after you win. But because some people jump on those bandwagons, but when most people don't know who Angelo Dundee was, he was Muhammad Ali's corner guy, trainer. But most of those people are gonna not be there with you. But when they're all there, man, about any place on Friday night, Abbeville, across this state are going to be unbelievable.
We had a chance to go to a Barnwell game last year to play Woodland. It was a great atmosphere, no doubt about it. But last one here for you, Coach. What are some goals for the 2023 season for the Warhorses?
Well, our goals are pretty simple. We've told our kids we want to win these first couple ball games, get moving. We want to win the region and make a run in the playoffs. And we want to win state championships. That's everybody's goal. I don't say that because I want to be there. Excuse me, and have an opportunity. But I don't want our kids to look back and it's kind of the Giannis statement a couple weeks ago. We're not failures. We're not going to be failures. We're going to be the best ball football team we can be. We're going to make ourselves the best we can be. We're going to work hard. And when you look at us, you're going to talk great about us, no matter what our record is, because that excellence over time is going to produce champions.
Well, this has been great. Definitely all of our followers are going to check out Coach Smith and the Warhorses program on Twitter and Facebook and all that. So they do a great job posting highlights and schedules and stuff for the kids. Definitely go check them out on there. Like I mentioned, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Chains and movingchains.com. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Movin the Chains brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Joe, anything else for Coach before we let him go tonight?
Number one, Coach, just thank you for your time. I know it was a different circumstance of you getting together with us tonight, so we appreciate you doing that. Thank you for all the stories and the lessons. I feel like I was getting coached tonight, so it was great to hear that stuff. Barnwell is just a special place. Like Kevin said, we went down there last year. Everyone there was great. That community's been really great to us, and I know they're going to be good to you and your family, and just wish you continued success.
Thanks, man. You guys are always welcome. Come on down and see us anytime.
We appreciate it, Coach. Look forward to stopping by a practice or a game and getting to meet you in person and hopefully playing some golf as well.
Sounds good, man. Let me know. Thank you.
All right, appreciate it, Coach.